Bickley and Marotta. Bickley and Marotta mornings. Arizona sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
March has arrived and the Suns remain a mystery. Last night's win over the Rockets changes nothing. This is still a team that can't stay healthy, a team that spent 3 days practicing fourth quarter offense and still couldn't close out a game, a team that cannot prevent those 5 to 6 minutes where they seem to lose their focus and their grip. Now, throughout this erratic, sometimes frustrating season, I have taken solace in the fact that Devin Booker and Kevin Durant have not lost faith publicly. There have been no cracks in their public facade that would make you believe this team has no chance. But after Thursday's game, kind of felt like Frank Vogel was reaching a bit, stretching to find a silver lining, and I get it. It's getting late, and this team needs something they know will be there every night, including Bradley Beal and Eric Gordon. Now, who would ever thought in their wildest dreams that Yusuf Nurkic and Grayson Allen would be bigger fan favorites than Beal and Gordon, who I thought were their two most important offseason additions. Either way, like I said, it's going to get late very soon, and I have one hope entering this weekend of basketball: for the Suns to treat the Rockets like the lesser team they are and then get the Valley buzzing. I mean really buzzing with a transcendent performance against Oklahoma City on Sunday, if that's not too much to ask. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
I was shooting a lot from deep. I hit a lot of threes in the first quarter, just the same shots that I missed the other game. I stick with it. I don't know what my percentages are at, but better than league average, so I'm going to keep going.
To your point, Bick, and that's Devin Booker talking about what happened in the first quarter last night, and he happened in the first quarter. 20 points. Finished with 35, was 4 of 4 from three-point range. It looked like the Suns were going to do exactly what you're still urging them to do against Houston, and that is to treat them like the lesser team, to exert their superiority over the Houston Rockets. It didn't happen over the last 3 quarters of that basketball game, and there was a lot of similarities between last night's game and Friday night in Houston last week.
Too many, other than the outcome, like you said earlier.
Yeah,
and again, I was expecting more. What they came out in the first quarter, and that was exactly what I wanted to see. A team that was out for a little retribution, a team that was like, "You ain't doing this to again, young fellas." And then the Rockets just kept coming at them, and then the Suns just kind of, played a lackluster second half offensively, and they got the victory, which is fine. And I set the bar for that. Win these 2 games against the Rockets, and then we'll press go, and we'll all hope for the best. But for Frank Vogel after the game to come out and say, listen, when you play in our building, you're going to get just crazy-ass defense, and you're going to get a team that shoots the ball really, really well. That's not really been the case. No. And as I said, you know this better than anybody. You got the best seat in the house. The season ticket holders I talk to, there's 2 common refrains I hear from them. Number 1, way too loud. I still hear that. The Steve Kerr, get off my lawn bit. And number 2, the vibe just isn't the same. And the latter part I can understand, because we're all waiting for this team to be the team we all want them to be. And it's maybe not their fault that they're not meeting our expectations, but that's the way this stuff works. We were promised a super team. Matt Ishbia said they were best roster in the NBA.
Yeah. Now the roster's not whole, and again, I'm not going to dwell on that, but we'll get back into it.
But let's get into it now.
Okay.
So the Bradley Beal piece. So the thing about Bradley Beal here, you've got to believe that somewhere along this rehab he's had some kind of setback, right? Because when this injury happened, and this is what we're talking, was it January 13th?
February.
I'm sorry, February 13th.
So it was right before Valentine's Day.
Right before Valentine's Day. I'm only a month off. Bear with me. It's been a long week.
But still, 17 days ago.
It's been right. So
2.5 weeks.
But it was right. It was never kind of couched as a 2 to 3 week timeline. But that's what it's been.
No, again, we talked to Frank Vogel at the beginning of last week, before they came back, and he was hopeful that he'd be back for the Dallas game.
Yeah.
And again,
so there must have been some kind of setback, right? Had to have been.
One of those full weeks, too, was the All-Star break.
Yes.
Where there weren't like heavy practices or anything either.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I'm just going to finish this, then you can jump in. And so in real time, it might not feel like an issue, but what it feels like to me is that what are the odds that when we get into a playoff series and you get and say the Suns win a first round playoff series, which really is starting to begin like it's going to be matchup dependent at this point in terms of what their chances are going to be. They get to a second round series. And so now we're, say, 12, 13 games into a playoff run. What are the odds that these guys are going to stay intact? That's a thing that I'm just like.
To win an NBA championship, you have to play for an additional 2.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
To think that we're going to have the big three or a full roster for that entire time, there's just nothing to prove that this season.
Well, and to look at it this way, too, to win a championship, you've got to win 16 games. You can also lose 12 games along those. If every series went 7 games, you're talking about 28 potential basketball games. I think Bradley Beal's season high in consecutive games is 15, and that coincided with health. Now, I will say this. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker have seemingly shaken off what was,
second part of the year for sure.
Second part of the year, certainly. The first part of the year, they were susceptible to that nagging stuff, too, and would play 2, miss 1, play 4, miss 2. Yeah, Eric Gordon's longest stretch of basketball too is about 13 games.
I know
this year.
Yeah, and that's kind of my worry here. And again, I do think that the use of Nurkic, Grayson Allen evolving as fan favorites. I'm not sure I saw either of those things happening.
No.
Really, you know what I mean? To the point where Frank Vogel is begging Grayson Allen, shoot the ball more. Your percentage is such that I don't care if your percentage drops 10 percentage points.
And
keep shooting.
Last night was a rare bad shooting night. Sometimes he doesn't get a lot of attempts up, Grayson Allen, but he'll usually make the majority of them. Last night to go 2 for 9, and there was one where things were getting a little hairy late in that game, and Grayson Allen had the single most open three-pointer from the corner in the history of open three-point shots.
Yeah.
And he actually stood there, looked at it like a free throw, took a deep inhale and exhale, and then shot it and missed. And you're like, that's weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
He's been so good this year on shots
so
like that.
confident on the catch and shoot, especially when he's open.
But he's not. Here's the thing. He has been so good this year, and he's been very consistent, but he is not a superstar. So he is not going to be good all the time.
No.
And the same with Nurkic, and the same especially with a Bull type guy.
But the Book and Durant are superstars, and they haven't been good all the time. Kevin Durant's not playing his best basketball right now.
His last 4 games, shooting a lot of shots and not making a lot of shots.
A couple points I want to bring up on Booker. He finished with 6 3-pointers again. He had 4.
He can't get it. Yeah,
he can't get over the hump.
Are you keeping a list of that, Vinny? I know you are.
Here's Devin Booker on never being able to get to 7 threes in the regular season.
This is a crazy stat, but you have now hit 6 threes in 25.
That's why I shot that last one.
Do you remember the first time you hit 6 threes in a game?
Nope.
Rookie year, Indiana. Here.
That might have been my first 30-point game, I think.
What, 32-point game?
Yeah.
When you think about that stat, are you like, it's got to happen sooner or later, or do you even?
It's happened in the playoffs. So I'll take it then.
There is that. He has done it in the playoffs. Kellen Olson took it a step further. And again, if you didn't hear Dwayne Rankin setting up the question, that was the 25th time in the regular season in Devin Booker's career he's hit 6 3-pointers. Never got more than that.
I know.
Kellen Olson went a step further and said, in those 25 games collectively, after reaching 6 3-pointers, Devin Booker going for 7 is 0 for 37.
Wow.
Is that not ridiculous? I read that this morning and I was like, wow, Kellen's a nerd. And then I went, wow, that's an amazing stat.
What
an insightful.
Great basketball mind.
But also on Devin Booker, I'm talking about, maybe this is something we can circle around to, but there was not fisticuffs. There was some tension. There was some static between him and Cam Whitmore last night. And it was, carried over from last Friday night's game. He acknowledged it. But I thought Devin Booker's response to it in both his television interview and his press conference was refreshing. He didn't take offense to it. He kind of said, this is the way basketball should be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's refreshing these days, don't you?
I think Devin Booker was a little put back the way Cam Whitmore came at him.
But then he also
and I
remembered
think he respected it.
That's the kind of stuff I did.
I think
as
he
a rookie.
respected it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's hardcore. That's the Devin Booker that I love.
Yeah.
The hardcore Devin Booker.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.